My name is James Bourget. I'm here at the BCIT High Performance Lab. Behind me is a window opening, and I'm going to strip in this window using a loose laid sheathing membrane, solid-adhered membrane on the sill, and a back dam angle, all for the installation of this window, which we're going to do another time. The loose laid sheathing membrane that I put in is going to serve as a water resistor barrier, as well as the air barrier as part of an exterior air barrier system. I'm going to take you step-by-step through this process, and what I do here today will work for any loose laid sheathing membrane on any window opening for any exterior air barrier system, whether or not it's Tyvek, Typar, whatever you may use as an exterior air barrier membrane and water resistant barrier will work under this premise, okay? The interesting part about what I'm going to show you today is you can pre-make all the pieces at the corners that you need, which I've done, and I'll show you how these get made. You have a gusset and a jam, and it all locks over like this, and then you put an infill piece in through here. All of these pieces can be made ahead of time. First thing you do when you build your envelope is you always work from the bottom up. So I'm going to install the sill paper across the sill. A couple of points of interest. I'm going to install the membrane up to 7 inches from the sill. I'm going to extend it 12 inches over, and you might think those are just random numbers, but if you take a 9-foot roll of Tyvek and you cut 3 feet off it to have a 6-foot roll, which is quite manageable, you have a 3-foot roll left over, you take that 3-foot roll, cut it in half, and you end up with an 18-inch roll here, which I use as a starter roll for stripping in penetrations, windows of penetration. Over here we have a copper and a vent or a pipe or whatever it may be is a penetration. You would use the starter roll. So I'll start with that. Start with the starter roll. What a concept. I've marked where I'm going to go. I'm at 7 inches and 12 inches. There's my 7-inch line and my 12-inch line. Now you think, I know the size of my rough opening, and I know my starter roll, and I know if I have, this is a 2x6 wall, so it's 6 inches wide, 5.5, 6 inches wide, so it's going to extend 12 inches over. That means I have everything I know when I order my windows before anything gets installed that I could pre-make all of my papers like I have done. Here's my jams, my head's there, because I know the size. And you know the size because, well, you've ordered the windows. And if you know where I'm stapling, I'm only stapling at locations where I'll either be taping or overlapping. When you install your loose laid sheathing membrane exterior air barrier, you do not want to put staples in the field. It's not required. And if you do, you can use a cap stapler. And I can show you that at the end. But right now, there's the sill membrane. It has extended 7 inches up. What you see a lot of times is, the habit is people want to start the sill membrane right here and then run the jam long. Well, this is where your windows will want to drain, and you don't want to have your jam running long if you're doing an exterior air barrier and having to tape it here or anywhere in the zone, because if water gets behind that tape, you can end up with a water balloon. And I have actually seen water balloons at these locations. And always recognize that this is where a window will drain on a subsill drainage. And if you ever see deteriorated buildings and they get taken apart, this is where you'll see the corrosion or the deterioration is in these areas. So now that I've got the sill on, I'm going to put the sill pockets on. The part that is challenging here is you have a X, Y, and Z axes that you need to make without any cuts so that it's waterproof and airtight. Commonly, if you take a piece of membrane and you try to make this happen in this corner, it can be a wee bit challenging to make all of this happen without having a plan. The best part is it's really, really simple to make one. So you have this here, which is the left-hand sill jam pocket. It's 4 inches wide. And the roll that I'm using, which is Soprasol and Suprema, is 6.5 inches wide. So if I have this membrane that's going to come and do this for me, I need to have a pocket here for that corner. So if my pocket goes here, I take this on the back side. My pockets are 2 inch by 2 inch. So I mark 2 by 2. The reason they're 2 inches is when I put them on, like so, I have 2 inches for the jam membrane to lap over. The peel and stick requirements are 2-inch laps. So now that I have marked that pocket, I take my Olfa knife or X-Acto knife and I get a fresh tip on it and I hold it upright and I just score that release. By holding it upright and not doing this and cutting the membrane, you simply score the release. There's no damage to the membrane, very little pressure exerted, but you need to make a pocket. So there's a little origami trick that I'll show you here. Is if you take this membrane and touch it together, like so, get it all stuck together, and that's fine. And then you take this membrane and you turn it inside out and drive your thumb into that corner so you've made that pocket. You then make your little fold here and your little fold here, and I have the beginnings of my pocket. So now I know that for this window, I've set my sill angle 3 inches inside, 3 inches. So I can measure 3 inches when I make them at the table. Even if I made them in a shop ahead of time, I know where everything's going to be because I have planned my install. I can mark my 3-inch mark. I know that at 3 inches, I make my cut. I have a pocket. This membrane is to lap over the back angle simply because when you put your sill on, you do your finishes, the acrylic latex sealant that you put at your windowsill, if it gets in contact with the edge of a membrane, can cause bleed out to the sealant. This dog's ear, as they call it, goes against the jam. Show you one more time. I take a piece of membrane 4 inches wide by the width that I have on my roll. My pocket goes on this side. I turn it over. I mark 2 inch by 2 inch. So I take the tip of the Olfa knife, score the membrane. See, I scored very, very lightly. There was no damage to the membrane. I take it, put it together. This is my dog's ear. I take it, I punch it inside out, push it right down to where the corner is from this side, make a crease, make a crease. You know where the dog's ear is, so now you can measure over 3 inches. Right here. Make a cut. Tuck him into here. Put the dog's ear over to the side. Go from the top of the angle, put a relief cut, and you've made that piece. Once that piece is done, The area of concern is this pinhole here, and you use a gusset. Because I have the sill angle sitting 3 inches back, my gusset is 4 inches long because I like my gusset to project 1 inch beyond so that I can mold around that corner. So it will be molded around like such, and I will start to do that now. When you're doing the peel stick membranes, you have to do one plane at a time. You can't just take the release off and hope everything's going to work out for you. On a warm, sunny day, that's going to be a frustrating event, okay? So what I'll do is I'll take this here and provide a relief about a 1/4 inch beyond that corner so that I can seat that corner. This is called an easy tuck. It's the best peel stick tool I've ever used. It's actually used for tucking carpeting into stairs. You can get them at Home Depot and places like that, but you won't find it in the tool section. Go to the carpet section and you'll find the easy tuck for carpet. It's ergonomically friendly, provides tremendous torque. One end is rounded, one end is square. You can shape it. It's fantastic. So I use the square end, and I'll go in and seat my corner like so. And I still have the releases on. And when you're doing peel stick, you need to prime these surfaces. I've only put a very, very light bit of primer on here, but I haven't primed it because I want to be able to take it off after. But you're going to prime this. And once you got this set, and your horizontal on the top, your X, Z, and your Y is set, you can look at getting this side adhered. You can now take this release paper on the underside and start to release it off. So I've freed up this edge. I can see this edge, make sure my Z axis stays. And so I've locked in this perimeter, very crisp, very clean. I can now take the release out from the underside. So I'm going to do this one again, just like I did. I'll bring you a little bit past. Just a light score. That gets me started where I keep all my releases and I have one plane to get me set. I'll fold him back, line him up, and tuck. I got nothing stuck on there yet, so I'm still in control. This has all got the release on it. I'm doing this so I seat my X, Y, and Z, and I'm horizontal across the top. I can seat that piece now, and that's my starting point. So I'm not going to go crooked because I've set my X, Y, and Z axes. I come to the back side here, and I peel this to the underside, just like so. So I have that 1/4 inch there, and I'll seat this axis right here, make sure that I'm staying true, which I am. Be true to yourself. Okay, everything's good. I can now take the release from the underside. Next, I'm going to work on the gusset. So the gussets are pretty straightforward. First small piece, don't be afraid to take the release off the gusset. Same thing applies, just bend the gusset in half. Place it so you stay 1/8 of an inch from the corner. You're sitting at about 1 inch out. You take a square corner and you seat it to that inside corner. Once you have it seated to that inside corner, you're good. Now you profile this, and once you got all this pressed into place and everything's good, you can look at molding it around the corner. So to do that, just press your thumb into here, and you can see how you can mold that around the corner. Once you get it going, then it goes pretty simply. Because it's only 1 inch, it's no issue to get that around the corner. Take your tool, make sure it's well bonded. And remember, if you're doing this on an actual job site, you'll be putting primer in between each of these layers, okay? I'm doing a little demonstration with that tool to show you how much torque you can get. You can actually get bleed out around the peel stick. And with primer, it's very, very good. You might be wondering, what is a gusset? I'll give you the rationale behind a gusset. So that piece I just installed, if you take center line, this is 4 inches, and a typical gusset is 3 inches wide. I'll come a ½ inch off a center line up to my corner. I'll come a ½ inch off center line up to my corner. I'll come a ½ inch off center line back to the middle. I'll come a ½ inch off center line back to the middle. So when you draw this like this is the rationale of doing a gusset. So you don't need to go to that level, but I want you to understand how that was derived. And so you can cut these things, and you don't need to go through that extent of measurement. You take it, go a little bit off center, cut to your corner, a little bit off center, cut to your corner, cut it off, and cut it off. You probably find that it's exactly the same. You just kind of get used to doing it. So you'll be the same each time. You don't need to measure. The other thing that's very, very handy is when you cut these gussets, if you ever have to go out for lunch and you're going somewhere fancy, it suits in as a little tie, okay? So you're covered, okay? So I'll put the other gusset on. Again, take the release off, bend it in half, place it in, stay 1/8 of an inch off. Make sure you get a good seat to that inside corner. Now, you can get all flexible membranes and everything you want to do. Everything you need to do, you can do with a 1 membrane type. And I'm particularly fond of this one. It's very, very malleable, and the bitumen blend is very, very good. Now that I've got that in, we have a jam overlay. That goes on like this. So how do you make those jam overlays? You know that I'm making this on the left-hand side, okay? I know that I'm going to be coming over 2 inches. And up 2 inches to here. So this piece here would be this dog leg here. That's up 2 inches. So this is a 2 inch by 2 inch. So I can take my 2 inch and cut it off because I don't need that. So I have that. Now I know that my angle, if you remember when I was talking, was 3 inches inboard. So as you can see, at 3 inches inboard, I can make a mark here. My angle is about 1 inch high. And I put a little V-notch right here to sleeve over the angle. And I have exactly what I need. So it's pretty straightforward to do. The best part is once you've made one, this is my left. If I want to make my right, flip it over, and I can trace it out and cut my right, and I got the right side ready. So I'll show you how to do that. The thing that's interesting and really important to understand is if you're doing a project in your windows and you have a back angle, they're all set at the same depth, same window, same depth. You can pre-make all these pieces ahead of time and save yourself a tremendous amount of time on the install with labor costs. And when you're finished, your project looks really, really great. So people walk up to your project and look at, why does everything look so organized and true, and the neighbor's house looks kind of disorganized, shall we say? You can explain to them how you're working your airtightness, how you're working, and how airtightness is your best friend for energy conservation. That and say a little bit of teddy, some thermal insulation values, and you'll be good to go. So I'm going to put the jam pieces on. When you're installing peel and stick, don't take the release off, okay? Just take enough of the release off so you can manage the piece. because you have pre-cut and you have a plan, I know exactly where it's going to go. It's going to go right there. So I can make sure I'm horizontal on the top and I'm in my notches there and I can seat this membrane. Pull the release off. Don't forget, when you're doing this, you use a primer. Seat this membrane into its place. Now, you might notice that it's not bonding right here. This has been sprayed with some silicone spray for another project, so don't worry about that. I've prepared the lower areas here. You see I ground it off so we could actually do our peel and stick work. The 1 inch up above, I won't worry about. For those that had a keen eye and saw it wasn't bonding, to explain why. So you can see you're doing peel and stick. You want to make sure everything transposes through because it's peel and stick, not just peel and float and hope it's okay. That's not the trade name, okay? That's pressed in. Here's my gusset. I want to make sure that I track my gusset because it's peel and stick. You need to be able to see everything you put in through there because now you've peeled and stuck it. Same thing here. I get into my gusset, make sure that I'm good and tight. There's my dog's ear. That's how you're supposed to get it done. If you get tented membranes in through here, you can get punctures during the window install and all kinds of grief can come your way. I do the other one here. Again, I do a dry fit. Yep, works out okay. Take some release off the top. Set it into my dry seat. Great. Make sure that I'm horizontal. Yep. Take my release. And I can take my release off now. It's going to sit there for me, behave itself. Take it down into its seat. Just let me seat it into place because if I have to, I can always get it off. Once you rub it in hard, though, you're not getting it off. I seat my corner, take it through the middle, take it up, take it down. Take it up, take it down. Anyway. You can see my pocket. I'm sealing that off. I have a gusset that I can see. I want to make sure that I'm sealed. Everywhere you do that, you should be able to see everything below, even the sheathing. Changes in the sheathing plane, even here and here. That's putting on peel and stick. It's not a lot of effort. It's really simple to do. This tool does make it really, really simple. Next thing I need to do is put an infill piece on the sill. So this is the membrane that I'm using. I can roll this out on my little table here, and let's see what we need. I want to put a piece in between here to here, 32 and a half. All right, so I'll take my 32 and a half inch off my little tape measure cutting table, 32 and a half, and we have it. I always do a dry fit to make sure that I haven't messed up because it's not fun. Try to take it off, it fits lovely. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to start the release. Like so. And I'm going to put this one on from the bottom up because I'm going to want to line up with this to this. Mostly because I have OCD, but it's very difficult to judge from this way coming down, and I want everything to line up the way it's supposed to. So I can do a little touch here. I can take it off a bit. If I got to come over a bit, that looks pretty good. That's going to work right there. And now I can seat that bottom. You have the release. I can come around the corner. You want to seat your corners. If you don't seat the corner for, 5/8, 3/4 of an inch, you may come off crooked and develop wrinkles. This is a nice, easy way. You can't really go wrong setting that seat. At which point, you can continue with your release and you work from the middle towards the edges. Don't start at one side here and work your way this way. You'll just get a whole bunch of wrinkles. I've gone to that point. I'm going to take the release off. This is where problems can occur, where this will be primed and very, very sticky, and you'll touch the membrane and be tented. Well, you can't fix it at that point, so you want to keep the membrane back and work up to the angle to, I'll go about maybe 1/8 of an inch, 6 deep, just so I can see a little hairline of wood up to that angle. Okay, I hope we can get that on the camera up there. You can see a little bit of wood. So now I can take it and seat all the way along. And this tool is lovely. It won't damage the membrane, but you can look at the inside corner. It's absolutely crisp. Okay, last time I got something that neatly wrapped, it was at the mall. They wrapped my Christmas presents. It was good. Okay, so work to the corner. Not difficult to do. You can see where the gusset is, which is right here, that I put in a material into a stressed manner, and when I roll it around the corner. And if you install something in a stressed state and you leave it like that, over time it's going to want to come back, memory. So this jam has a dog leg which restrains this half, and this sill infill restrains this half. I've set the first membrane only came over 2 inches, which is right here. So this, depending on the mullion, like the windows we're going to install, I can put my shims either on this flat spot here or this flat spot here, depending on what I need to do. The gusset is not in the way. It is located here, and this is the subsill drainage plane. Same thing happens here. I take my gusset. I know where it is. I can see it slightly, but I want to make sure that I track that change in profile, because this is 40 mils thick, and so you want to track it. It'll just float over each other. I want everything tight. I have no leakage of any kind. Now, I'll take this here. Same thing, start from the middle. And just seat the top of the angle. When I install the window here with help from Cody, we're going to run a bead of sealant along this edge, top of this angle here, and then I'm going to carry it down the inside corner here and down the inside corner here. In essence, that now makes an absolutely monolithic pan, waterproof and airtight. Okay, I'm going to work on the jam papers now. So I'm going to get the horse out of the corral. Come here. This is a jam paper here. So the logic behind the jam is I ran the peel stick up 7 inches. The overlap for this membrane is 4 inches. My tape is 2 inches, which brings me down to about the 5-inch mark right here. So my tape will come right across here at the top of my gusset and straight across. Nice, smooth air seal transition. I've met the lap requirements, but knowing all of this, that means if I'm extending 12 inches past here and I'm going to come down, overlap this by 5 inches, I can measure how long my jam paper needs to be to go from here to 12 inches past. So I'm lapping over 4 inches here, and I made 7. I can take my rough opening minus 3, 45, and add 12, 57. So I marked my 12. This is my 12 inches up to here. Hear ye, hear ye. Oh, never mind, that was on a movie there, so, okay. I have to wear a hat because I look like a chia pet gone mad. So, one staple, I'm going to check. I'm great. Overlapped by 4. My tape will come here, right above my gusset. And you can pre-cut all these because I pre-cut all these. And I've actually done this on projects, gone to site because I work with the people on site. And I brought all the paper to the project ahead of time. So they got the window opening sizes from the builder. And I thought that was kind of cool. Well, we're at that cutting stage now. I need to cut the loose laid membrane here somewhere in order to wrap this corner. You could cut it along here, which means when you did the head, you'd have to cut it along here. On the loose laid sheeting membranes, if the corner is right here, I'll take it from this corner and cut it straight up. The lap required is 4 inches. That's what I'll do, okay? So if I'm gonna wrap a corner, I'm not stapling in here. I don't need to staple in here. All I need to do is hold this and seat my corner. It's gonna go all by itself and sit on that corner. When I come to this side, I simply make a fold right here. Everybody sits and behaves himself. Square, crisp, clean. You don't want to have tented membranes. If you want to do tenting, I know, go camping. I get it. Okay. All right, go ahead. That's one jam. All my staples, even the staples I put on the inside here, it's important to understand that if I'm putting sealant here, then it's the line of my air seal on the inside. Then my air seal is going to continue up and go all the way up and around the window. So all my staples are inboard of my air barrier or located where I'll overlap and or tape. That's both jams are installed. Now we'll do the head. The head paper is exactly the same size as the sill paper. Both jams are the same size. Just cut it all ahead of time. And so I don't have to think about anything. I just simply go to my corner, pop a staple, come across anywhere on here. So now, which way I cut this is obvious. I've already have my return and my return, so I can simply cut it here. Okay? So I find my corners right here, hold it off the wall, cut my corner. I can find my corners right there, hold it off the wall, that'll cut the membrane below. Eat my corner, and now the paper will want to cooperate. In order to make an air barrier, peel stick is stuck to the Tyvek, but this Tyvek is not stuck to this Tyvek or this peel stick, so you need to tape them together. This is part of an air barrier system. So, same like most things, start from the bottom up and you're able to lap. There's the line of my air seal. I can line that up on here and I come across over to here. So you want to install the tape without wrinkles, and you're not going to install the tape like this. And I see that all too often where like this and is presumed to be done, but it's not done because you're making an air barrier. You have areas where you don't get the bond of the tape unless you actually rub it. So pay attention to your leading edges. Make sure there are no fish mouths. Here where you drop on a membrane and you do a drop from a 40 mil membrane to a tape, there is a potential for a straw port. Close it off. That's it. Bonds very, very well. Make sure that all this is sealed. Check your things. Same thing applies. I'll start inboard of my air barrier. Come around the corner. Make sure that I have no fish mouths. Don't pull the tape when you're doing it. Just let it go in a relaxed manner, and you won't get anywhere near the wrinkles that sometimes you see. And again, when you get a change in plane, press it down. Really good. Next, we'll go up and deal with the top parts. So as you can see here, half and half. Don't worry about it. This is going to get lapped over 6 inches, so that's fine. Now we have to catch the seam right here. And again, don't try to go at it this way. One plane at a time. Go up to the corner. One plane. Seat the corner. And go around. Wrinkle free. You take your tape, you bend it in half. And it's just like every other one. You place it at the inside corner down about a 1/4 inch, 1/8 of an inch, so you're not at the corner. Have it project out about an inch. Hang on to it. You got control. Push it into the inside corner. Nice and tight. And rubber down. Same thing here. You want to make sure that any little fish marks you get are dealt with. You can see little ones there, but if you rub it in, the tape sticks very, very well. So now I'm going to take this, and I take the tape, and I cap the corner. This is where the straw port and the hole would be for air leakage, but I've capped it off. But again, I put something in a stressed state, and to expect it to stay there might be a little bit unrealistic over time. Well, actually it is unrealistic over time. So I put a retention gusset on. Like so, and I bring it maybe 1/8 of an inch past. As a shingle, and this retention gusset holds that other one in place. And that takes care of that side, and we'll do the same on this side. And I'll do the same thing around the corner. And leave it over just a little bit over there. Just to make that shingle for water, and also to really mold that corner down real good. There you have the Tyvek install, the loose laid sheathing membrane, air barrier, and water resistant barrier. The next one will tuck up underneath. And now we can look at doing our window install. So previously I talked about keeping the staples out of the field. There's no staples within the feel of this, but if you leave this membrane over time, you don't want it to come off. They make staplers. This one's called a stinger. That will hold this really, really tight until you're ready to extend your air and water resistor barrier. You pop these off. These cap staples are very, very strong and will hold this paper down and not cause any damage or tear it off. It's just a neat thing. It's a little thing. It's called a stinger. We're going to install this window into this opening. We set up our shims. I used a little bit of tuck tape to keep the shims from going anywhere during the install. It doesn't affect the subsill drainage whatsoever. And always remember that water that gets into the window opening, if it gets into the head, it will travel along the top of the head, come down the sides, and drain out here. The likelihood of any water in the middle of the sill is low. These shims are not going to bother anything with respect to subsill drainage. This is a frame window. This is a clip which fastens to the structure. It's not a flange window, it's a box window. It's a high performance fiberglass window. We're going to put it into this hole. One thing is when you put these clips on, these clips will attach to the structure here. When you put the clips on, and I'll show you on the inside, you need to put sealant behind the clips for air barrier continuity around that window. Okay, now we're talking about, we're going to put sealant on the back angle here. The window drops on the shims and pushes into the sealant, and that establishes the first air seal for this window. So I've loaded a bed of sealant along there. While I'm here, I'm going to run the sealant bead down this membrane flap like so. By running that bead, I now have one complete monolithic pan, waterproof membrane. For the sill of this window. Okay, we're going to put the window into the opening now. We set up the air barrier and the water resistor barrier on the outside. As you saw, I've loaded the air seal sealant on the bead. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little dab of sealant at each corner to make sure that I get a nice extension into the rod and caulk sealant that's going to go around, okay? Very simple. Let's do the window. Okay, we get that just rest on the sill circle, rotate it up slowly, slowly. Very good. Very good. Okay, so now what I need you to do is I want you to seat the sill against the angle. Once it's squared up and evenly gapped, we got a little wiggle here. I think we're pretty good. Okay, push the inside the bottom. That's all I want is the bottom real tight. Real tight. Okay. So is the bottom real tight? Hold the bottom real tight. Good. You have the window? Excellent. What I'm going to do is get ready at this point. Okay, now the window won't go anywhere. I'm going to do the other side, okay? Hold the sill real tight. Push on the sill so we see it into the ceiling. Okay, now let's rotate with your block to what we had talked about. Say Wendy. No, say Wendy. Okay. Thank you. And the other side. That's right. Thank you. I can't work without Wendy. Okay. Wendy's here. So the window's been seated in. You can see the bead of sealant at the bottom here. I clean the sealant off. So the window's nice and clean. I'm able to confirm that I got a nice continuous bead of sealant all along this seal right here. I'm using a tooling stick to clean that off, and then I'll make sure that the window is clean. And we have a nice clean window. So when you're using and doing the clip system, you need to install sealant behind each clip. So what I'm going to do is, Cody, I'm going to rotate the clip back like so. I need you to make sure my window doesn't move, okay? Now the line of my air seal is right through here. So I want to get sealant behind my clip. See that it's bleed out, so I'll get no air that blows by behind my clip. So you can see the sealant behind here. I know if you can come over, Mary, but you can see that I have a full bed of sealant in behind that clip. Bleeding out here and bleeding out here. Now, when I put the fastener in, she's going to bleed out. And you can see that there will be no air blow by on that clip, and I'll run my other sealant on the outside, and I'll have a good seal at the clip. Again, I'll pull the clip back. I wanted to make sure that I get a good seal, so I'm reasonably liberal with the sealant all the way through and around my clip. And you can see that behind each clip is well sealed. Clips go in according to manufacturer requirements. I'm simply doing a demonstration. It's not how many clips you need or anything like that. Window installations are specific. The manufacturer will have strict requirements for the number of clips, spacing of clips, size of fasteners, etc. Once we got the clips installed, we need to provide a backer rod and sealant on these sides. Okay. I can roll this backer rod, and I'm going to stop each one at the clip because the clip will actually serve as a deterrent for the sealant to go too far anyway. If you don't put a backer rod in, it's just going to keep on pumping sealant into that void. So now I'd like to set this backer rod in about 3/8 of an inch so that when I tool it and get it done, I'll have about a 1/4 inch thickness is what you need for sealant to perform. Common mistake is putting sealant on very thin, and it's kind of like an elastic. If you hold an elastic like this, you can't pull it apart because it's got no thickness. If you hold an elastic here, you can do a little bit. If you hold an elastic here, you can do more. If you hold an elastic here, you can do more. The same applies with sealant. If you put it really thin, you can't do the movement it needs to. If you've got a 1/4 inch thickness, you now have sealant working like it's supposed to work, okay? So you want to set that back into about 3/8 of an inch. Commonly, I'll hold a tool or something that keeps me about 3/8 of an inch, and then I can just probe until my finger hits the frame. You see I have a pretty consistent bead that goes on through right here at the clip. I'll punch it in. It's all about trying to keep the right minimum thickness. So I'll work this backer rod around. Same thing here. I'll hold it back with my finger no matter what I'm doing. I got a guide. You're not making a cabinet, so you don't have to be crazy accurate, but you want to be reasonably accurate. So I'm keeping it. There's that sealant that we wanted to join to up that side. Now that I got the backer rod set, that I figure I can get a minimum 1/4 inch thickness everywhere, take my caulking gun. You can see that by using the caulking gun and pushing the sealant along, I'm going to reduce the amount of tooling I need because I'm actually tooling with the nozzle. This nozzle could be cut just a wee bit bigger. You want to try to cut the nozzle at about 10 degrees and set it to the width of your joint so that you can ride the rails and get a reasonable bead and minimize your tooling. Will that ride the rails for me? So you see how that rode the rails is neat and tidy, and you push the sealant in, it tools against. You can do a light tool to make sure that you get everything seated properly. The idea is don't put the gun in, pull the sealant down, put the gun in. I don't have enough. I haven't made a mess. So I can load this joint up. My joint's still a bit small. You can see when I put that in, I'm not getting a full seat to the other side. Once I get it set to the right size, that becomes pretty simple. So I'm getting a nice clean seat, and I can touch it up as I go along with my tooling stick. I have a tooling stick that I'm going to take and it works really lovely to clean the sealant off my window. And I want to make sure that I'm getting a nice seat against my window frame all the way along. So I get an air seal, so any little gaps or voids, you want to get sealed up. Now you don't have to go all crazy making everything, super pretty on this air seal because it's all hidden. Then you want to make sure that it's sealed all the way along, that there are no voids and you can push it up against the frame. At the same time, try to keep the window reasonably clean. I mean, you can use tape if you wish. So, at a much easier time when the backer rod fit than I did when it didn't fit. So I'm going to have to push this into that void. The biggest thing to be concerned about is making sure you get a connection between the Tyvek and the window and maintaining some center thickness. Say your drywall returns and everything comes by to hide this. So this is a hidden bead. This is your air seal bead. If you're doing an aesthetic bead, you'll take a different approach. I'm more interested in getting a direct connection to the side of my window. Voids, if I do that avoid, I'll keep working it till I don't. If I have to, I can add some more if I'm a little bit shy. Any little excess, I can just take off here. And I can clean the window. Like I say, you can run the tape if you wish. Again, you can play with it all day if I want, but what I'm looking for is to make sure I have no voids along here, and I have no voids along where the window frame is. I'm continuously sealed. I'm sealed at my angle. It's in a compression seal. Commonly, what happens now is you put fasteners for the window manufacturer into here, along this sill. That puts us through this window install, and it's late this evening, so adios.